Camera set up fine, audio set up fine. I just want to make sure that we're not going through that and not getting this fella.
We are under the blue snowball, yes.
Excellent, eh? What were we saying before we were rudely interrupted by
Technical
issues?
You know what's really annoying?
What?
That means now I have to download and edit and put them together.
Well, if anyone can do it, you can.
Yeah, but I don't know whether I can be bothered.
Oh, well, Tuesday, you got schools
on
Tuesday?
If I go to school this week.
Yeah.
Last Tuesday was shit house.
What else was I going to say?
I don't know. I was gonna mention the fact that at AFC 10, it felt unfortunately amateur for me with all the auctions and getting sponsors into the ring to say thank you and give them a little laminated A4 certificate and stuff like that. I understand. I'm not running the show. I know that there are accounting issues. You've got to try and make money, so you need sponsors. So you want to make the sponsors feel great. Yep. You want to show them they're grateful.
Yep.
You want to try to please them as much as you can because they really are what's putting the show on. That venue would not be cheap to hire.
No.
Even though you've got a lot of people there paying $60 for just a general admission.
Yep.
You've got costs involved. There's no question. You've got to set that place up with that ring. You've got
cleaning afterwards.
You've got the cleaning afterwards. You've got to pay the fighters.
Yeah.
You've got to. There's a lot involved. But how can something like the AFC promote itself as professional, put itself forward as the premium fight league in Australia, be the UFC of Australia, when they're having auctions for sports memorabilia, and the guy hosting it is telling us that Michael Schumacher's dead, when he's not, he's alive.
Oh, did they say he was dead?
They were saying that he was dead.
Because what I thought was quite hilarious is when they were saying that Michael Schumacher was an athlete, and I'm like, he's not an athlete. He drives a fucking car. And he does do a bit of skiing, but he's not very good at the old skiing.
Clearly not good at skiing. Well, that's just getting into the argument of race car drivers, athletes. Well, because it's not easy to do. It is hard work.
Oh, yeah. Mental.
It's hard work.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely hard work. It's hard in the brain, and also you do have to be physically fit because you are driving a car that involves a lot of torque and the pressure involved.
Yep.
Your upper body has to be developed to a certain degree. Are they at the level of a triathlete endurance? No.
Well, all right. Would you consider a darts player an athlete?
No.
Pool player?
No.
Cyclist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ballet dancer?
Ballet dancer. I wouldn't say they're an athlete.
I'd say that they're up there with athletic
fit?
ability.
Yeah.
I'd say that I wouldn't call them an athlete, I'd call them an artist, but I would definitely say that a ballet dancer has the physical, an athlete's body and ability. But
oh, you've got to watch there. I'm looking at my phone to see the time, and I realise you're sticking a clock.
I was about to say that we could go with that, but that's now the new amount of time passed. So yeah, we'll have to go with the watch.
Yep.
I don't. It is an awkward one as to whether a race car driver is an athlete as such. It does take physical ability to do that. Yep. But yeah, you're right. But yeah, they were saying, because they had on before. Brian, with the controversial. He's saying that modern day F1 drivers are basically marathon athletes. You know why I would agree with Brian? Because with the amount of time they spend in that car, having to try and stay focused, having to continually be manipulating the car and turning it, concentrating and stuff, it is a marathon. It just possibly doesn't involve the same kind of aerobic marathon effort as a marathon run.
I would agree with Brian that it is a marathon effort, in the same way that I would agree that sitting down and watching 15 seasons of Buffy in one day is a marathon.
For some people, that would be piss easy.
Yep. I'm only saying that because I can see all the Buffy over there. Yeah.
And we've downloaded it as well,
really?
So that it's easier to watch.
Oh, that's good thinking.
Brian is saying it's 190 beats per minute on average during a 2-hour race stint.
Yeah.
Your heart rate is elevated. Your heart rate would be elevated.
You'd be agitated. You'd be excited. You'd be adrenaline pumping. My thing is, I couldn't think of anything worse than watching Formula One.
Yeah.
I just think it's boring.
I
In the same way that I find, watching soccer boring.
Yep.
I find watching
Cycling.
running. Cycling is not exciting for me.
No, I can understand that.
That's
absolutely.
Watching grass grow is not exciting for me. But
I love
professional grass growers.
I really do get nerdy enough that I kind of enjoy getting down onto a bit of turf and checking it out. I could do that, absolutely.
I wanted to talk about the rest of my weekend, but I realised we haven't got very much time left, but it would start a conversation that could possibly go longer. So are we willing to?
We don't. As I was saying,
oh no, we don't have a time limit.
As I was saying off camera, we have to just go with what goes. We don't have any rules yet.
Yeah, I know.
We've got some expectations as to what we've done in the past.
Yep.
We start at 6:00.
Yep.
We go for roughly an hour and a half. We're predominantly a visual show, but mostly talking. But that doesn't mean we can't do other things. Yep. We can go 2 hours if you want to go 2 hours.
Well, look, I don't think we'll need to go 2 hours, but I just...
If it takes 35 minutes to talk, if it sets the conversation going.
I don't know. So I was saying before we got on air that they had a fantastic weekend.
Yes, you did.
It was... I've been house sitting the last week, and it's been a bit alienating and a bit lonely for me. And the fact that I had the AFC Saturday night and went out Friday night.
Can I just quickly touch on the AFC again? Yeah. You've been to previous ones with the Dominance crew?
I've been to 2 previous ones with Dominance crew.
Okay. Jamie and I went to one, would have been a couple of events ago. It was when Dan Kelly had that absolute ball-buster fight at the end of the night where he won predominantly on points because the other guy was a bit dodgy.
Where the guy got deducted points? Yeah, I went to that one as well. Yep.
We went to that, but I literally saw one person I knew, mainly because I wasn't as social with the Dominance crew back then. Was it a good turnout from Dominance?
We always have quite a good turnout. There was our crew.
Yep, where we were sitting.
Where we were, and then there was also a crew that had bought seated seats.
Yes. So there was the rich people. The
poor people. That's exactly the way I was going to put it. There was the rich people, and then the povos. I was really happy with our setup.
I was perfect. Oh, I don't want to sound reverse elitist, but I liked our poor people crew.
Yeah.
Our poor people
crew.
Did I
say I've been to 2 or 3?
You said 2 or 3.
I've been to 3. Definitely been to 3 because the first one I went to had seats.
Yep.
They were quite good seats in terms of closeness to ring. Second one, closeness to ring. Second one, I was standing in a friggin' awesome spot. Right, it was perfect viewing of the ring. I'm just digging holes for myself today. Where we were standing, anytime someone would get in front of us, a security guard would push them out of the way.
Nice.
Saying, get out, my plan was last night to stand in that exact spot.
Yep.
However, a week of doing jiu-jitsu every day and a week of doing manual labour most days, I couldn't do it. My hips were killing me.
Yep.
Plus, I did have a very big night Friday night, so maybe that had stuff to do with it.
Yep.
I've always felt this, and it was just solidified. I have absolute respect for people that do martial arts, a very physical martial art, and a very labour-intensive job throughout the week. Anyone that can do both, like chippies, brickies, plasterers, and that sort of stuff. Gardeners can come in. Well, you're lugging heavy bags around. You're up and down on your knees all the time, and then you do gardening as well.
The other day, how do you think I got the job? The other day, I was actually doing some squatting and stuff for an extended period, and I was just like, "Oh, this is ridiculous." Yep. My knees were starting to go.
Yeah, my knees were killing me during that.
I absolutely always have bucketing in mulch to a job. Yeah, we'll get there.
It's all right.
Yeah, we've got time. We've established that we're going 2 hours today, so we've got time.
Yeah.
Brian missed the first part of the show, so we want to give him his money's worth. I love, you'll get a big pile of mulch, 2 meters squared of mulch out the front, and you've got to bucket it into a job. It's awesome doing a squat up onto and then lifting up onto your shoulder like a clean and press. Onto the shoulder, and then walking in tight with the tight core the whole way in. It is fantastic.
Yeah. Is Brian adding anything before?
Brian's just commenting that he went to the UFC's only trip to Pittsburgh, Pat Berry versus Cheat Congo.
Oh, that was a great fight.
And he got to go to that one. Whether he stood or had seating, I don't know.
That was a great fight.
But AFC seating, we had we managed to get some pretty decent seats. Pretty much.
That's what I was going to say.
Pretty much up the back,
very back row, and it was perfect viewing of the ring.
Yeah.
I had to numerous times, and you and Jamie can vouch for me on this. I had to keep saying to myself, "Stop looking at the television screen. Look at the fighters in the ring." Because when I went to the UFC both times, I had perfect views of the rings, yet you still watch the big screen.
Yeah, I had at least 6 TVs in my view. And I had perfectly good sights of the entire...
Did you watch the TV?
A couple of times. But mostly when you couldn't see the action.
Yeah.
For instance,
I just watched the TV the entire time. I'm conditioned to watch a TV.
If they go to the ground and most of the action is happening on the other side of what they're doing...
You watch the TV.
You watch the TV to get a better angle and stuff like that. So, let's keep going with your story, your weekend.
I was just going to say on Friday nights, myself and a friend of mine went out for the night. The plan was to get out and about by 10:30, 11 o'clock. We didn't end up getting to the venue until after 12, which was all right because we still the plan to get there early was so that we could get introduced to people and walk around and that sort of stuff.
Where were you headed?
We went to a fetish night at a club.
That's why I'm glad I asked.
Yeah. I've been to a couple before, and I'm getting looks from Jamie. I could feel it. No. They're excited, interested.
Yeah,
looks.
what I liked was the fact that Jamie was sort of head down, looking at her phone, feeling quite tired, enjoying sitting in front of the heater.
Yeah.
The minute you said fetish thing,
it
was up on the elbow. Really?
Yeah. Well, look, I thought that was what was going on. I went to Oz Kinkfest last year. That was the first time I'd been to something like that, and I was rightfully so very nervous. Last night was
what's involved with these things?
you just
now a fetish night at a venue.
Yeah.
So what, you go and you're all in your finest leather, and
I don't wear leather.
And there's some fetish stuff happening.
Yeah, that's basically what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, just different fetish stuff going on. You watch, you
jerk off.
I didn't see anyone jerking off, but probably people were doing it, and that's fine if that's what they want to do. Got to see some
boobs.
Oh, yeah, I probably saw some boobs.
They must have been
both
good.
Men and women.
It must have been good if you can't remember.
I was talking about it afterwards, and I guess anytime you go out in public, you're going for a bit of a perv, but there wasn't that many overly beautiful people besides myself.
And whoever you went with.
Yes. But for me, there was this beautiful girl there that I noticed, the first one I got there, and she would at least have been 6'6". Like, she was huge, and she had heels on as well, so that probably added to it. Wearing this vinyl dress, and I'm not into leather and vinyl, and we've spoken about it on earlier podcasts. And she got involved with some of the medical stuff they were doing. And I got a good look at her then.
No. You can't just go over that. What do you mean by medical stuff?
Well, they were making artwork out of her leg, putting like syringes and stuff through it, that sort of stuff.
Oh, so
I don't know what you call it. Like,
so it'd just be
needle play,
temporary piercing.
Yeah. There was another girl that they were doing the similar thing on her chest.
Now, when you say syringes and stuff, you're talking about needles that have possibly got feathers or something coming off them.
No. They were just syringe tips.
Okay,
Yeah.
I know what you're referring to. Now I've found a couple of pictures, but I've not found a. That's the one that I'm. It's kind of small.
Yeah. So, look, I don't know the rules of these things. Whether I'm allowed to, what
Is
what,
that the
what
kind
happens.
of
that sort of stuff.
they're the
Yeah. There was a stage where they were doing a bit of rope work and that sort of stuff.
Again, what do you mean by rope work?
Well, people were tied up in ropes.
Oh,
and
okay,
was
bondage.
Suspended,
A little bit of bondage rope work.
if that's what you want to call it. Yeah.
What do you mean
Rope
if that's
playing?
what I want to call it?
Well, if that's what you consider bondage, like you can use bondage.
If
right?
you've tied somebody up, they are bonded. That's bondage.
But this doesn't have to be rope. Like you can do it with duct tape. You can do
Oh.
it with PlayStation cords.
Absolutely. You said that you said that with
No.
with too much knowledge behind it.
Someone sent me a picture one time, and it said, took this chick home last night. She asked me to tie her up with a PlayStation cord, and I got really excited, and then I thought to myself, does she have any idea how expensive and hard to find those cords are, or something similar like that? That's why I said PlayStation.
Okay, so but that's what it was. If it was with the rope and they were doing it, then that's bondage, isn't it?
If that's what you want to call it, yeah.
What do you think?
I just say that's rope play,
Okay, rope play.
which I fucking love.
Okay, but what do you class as bondage then?
That?
Just for okay.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Anyway, so went there, had a quite a ball.
Was it your ball?
It wasn't my ball. Nah. We were talking about good-looking people. There was this this girl that I just... Oh, that's hot. Please don't put that up because that's mean.
How is that mean?
Because it looks horrible.
Yeah, but it's funny.
All right.
I won't put it up then. Fine.
No, you can, but that's just sad looking. There was this girl I couldn't keep my eyes off, and then I got close enough to realise, hang on, that's a guy. And
A very attractive guy.
oh, I couldn't stop looking. It was very attractive. It had a nice corset on it, and I remember at one point my friend and I were talking about, does this is it a guy or a girl? And I said, look, for all intents and purposes, that's a girl for me.
Yeah.
And then we got close and we said, all right, final decision, guy or girl. And I said, look, that's a guy. I know it's a guy. And the question was, how do you know it's a guy? And my response to that was, well, because of my massive erection.
Don't say anything you don't want to say. Is there a reason why you're not telling us who the friend is?
Oh, I don't want to.
Yeah, fair enough.
You don't know them.
Well, that's what I was I was kind of assuming that. I'm one of those people that whenever I know that the person doesn't know the other person that I'm referring to, I don't actually say their name.
Yeah.
I know I've got
I don't like when people tell you stories and then Fred said this and Fred said that. Who the hell is Fred? And stop talking about them.
Exactly. That's exactly the same. We're definitely on the exact same page with that one. So that was Friday night?
Yep.
And that was a late one, I think you've told us.
Yeah, I got home at 2 a.m. and then I stayed up until 5. And then I went
Getting
to
rid
bed.
of your erection.
Getting rid of it was a constant battle. But I was so happy that I guess you kind of it's one of those things where a night like that would have so much stigma attached to it. You're thinking, all right, you're going to go and there's just going to be disgusting, creepy people there. And they're not at all. Well, I was there.
Yeah, you were there, yeah.
The idea is that someone's going to come up to me like, hey, fuck in a back corner or something like that. People don't do that.
No.
We got quite a few people talking to us about some of the clothes that were that's one of my pet peeves about the whole scene is there is nothing for guys to wear.
Oh, okay.
Like I had to wear a black t-shirt and a pair of black pants.
Yep.
And that was the extent of the awesome thing. There was a guy dressed up in this awesome lizard mechanical steampunk kind of costume, and that was pretty cool. But there's nothing for guys to wear. Girls can look fucking beautiful in corsets and next to nothing and that sort of stuff, and you know,
That kind of thing.
okay, please don't put that on the screen if you don't want me to get naked.
That's
all right, starting.
That's the kind of thing Dale likes, apparently.
That is the thing that Dale likes.
Yep.
Definitely.
I can understand why you would like that.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Oh, yep. That kind
So
of
you
thing.
quite liked The Matrix when they went to
No.
those fetish ball type sections in The Matrix? You weren't into that?
Well, I don't look. I prefer the corsets and that sort of stuff. I don't like leather.
What about no? But they were all the Matrix fetish scenes when Monica Bellucci was wearing the corset and stuff.
Yeah, all right. We'll give you that.
That was the first. My first introduction to Monica was via The Matrix.
She's an absolutely beautiful woman.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
She's an absolutely yeah. All these other movies I've seen her in that weren't The Matrix and Stick 'Em Up. Have you ever seen that?
Yes, that was terrible.
No, that was a great movie because it was
was
so overly toply stupid.
It was it was over the toply stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
there's a couple of
fun.
her movies that I've got to get round to because they're they look like they're actually brilliant Italian, predominantly Italian.
She is Italian.
Yeah, she is, but predominantly great Italian films as opposed to it just being about the woman.
Yeah.
They look like they're actually really good. Yeah, I have to say that the small amount of flirting with that scene that I've ever done, which has not been me having an interest in going to it, but it's just meeting people who are into it. I've never thought, based on those people, that it would be a dirty, disgusting, creepy kind of scene, because those people have always been lovely and nice and friendly and everything like that. But I can understand that some people who just have no idea would find or would think. It doesn't surprise me that people would just have the minute you hear the word fetish or bondage and stuff, people seem to just get this misconception of it and they think it's going to be dirty and creepy and disgusting. Yet, as I said, the people that I've met that have had associations with that have never been that way.
No.
It's always...
They think it's 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh
Yeah.
God. Oh, I can't wait for that movie to come out
To prove how bad it is?
to prove how bad it is.
Yeah.
I did happen to watch one of my favourite movies the other day. That I haven't read 50 Shades of Grey, but I think there's something going on that 50 Shades of Grey, the main character's name is something Grey or something like that, and this movie, which is about a very similar thing, a couple starting an S&M relationship. His name is Mr. Grey as well.
What movie is it?
Secretary.
Oh, yeah.
I love that movie. That's my home run movie. I don't know if I've ever told you about that.
I do believe last episode
We spoke about it.
we mentioned
Yeah.
we mentioned the fact that you've what is it? Every time you've watched Secretary, you've
I've finished the night by having sex with someone, even if it's myself. Yeah, which is how the other night. No,
it's your go-to film for that kind of stuff. And I had to agree with you. I do believe it's been quite the arousing film.
Yeah.
I also find it very interesting in that I've somewhat recently been getting a lot more into psychology, and I find the psychology of Maggie Gyllenhaal's character, especially with her self-harm and stuff at the start of the film, and her somewhat being lost in the world, I actually find that quite interesting within that film as well. And then finding purpose by being submissive to James Spader's character.
but even like I agree with you there 100%. But watching it this time, I really realised how lost he is as well. His character.
Oh yeah,
like he's really struggling with his his desires and stuff like that.
he is.
And I every time I'd watch it on television that I didn't realise was just that little bit too far away from me. And this television it's the same size television as I've always watched it on, but I was close enough to it to realise that every time he's engaging in his behaviors that he finds taboo. His lips are trembling, like he's so excited. And
I'm going to have to rewatch it for that. I didn't notice that. I definitely didn't notice that.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely correct in that there's that bit where he apologizes for his actions when they first have an interaction, and based on when she first walks in and the other secretary's running out crying, based on the fact that he has a sign that is a fairly permanent secretary needed sign. You're absolutely correct in that he is completely lost and unsure of his actions, of his desires and all that kind of stuff. And hence why when it gets to the end and he says, we can't do this, and she says, why not? You realise that they've both found what they were after.
Yep.
And so the relationship isn't a negative, submissive and dominant. It is actually brilliant, and because both of them have that thing, and he's not trying to dominate her in order to for a power trip or for anything. It is very mutually beneficial.
Yep.
Hence why it's such a positive film in terms of not just eroticism, but relationships and finding the perfect person for you.
Yep.
Now, is that the extent of our weekend talk?
Yeah.
Oh, that was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look. I didn't do anything else. I slept in today, which I'm so happy about because I've never slept in my entire life.
1 o'clock, you said?
1 o'clock.
You made it to afternoon.
Yeah, which is there's definitely some cons to that.
Oh yeah.
Like for me, I haven't really had a day to myself for quite a while, and a day to myself is me playing PlayStation.
Yep.
So I would have loved to have done that today, but just didn't have time.
I really dislike sleeping until the afternoon. I've done it a few times back in the day, and it just feels ridiculous that a few hours after you've woken up, it's starting to get dark.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens when I get home tonight.
Yeah.
Whether or not I can actually go to sleep.
Yeah, you may struggle. And as someone who, for myself, I get up at now it's 4:45 every day. I definitely don't like ruining that sleep pattern.
I'm in bed by 9:30 every night.
Yeah, it has to be a pretty special event. AFC last night being one of those where I will accept being out that late. Jamie and I were actually very surprised that we were out until after midnight.
I muck myself up every weekend in the fact that I go to bed at 9:30 every night during the week. But then Friday night and Saturday night, I push it and I stay up late. But of course, I still wake up early.
Yeah.
And then Sunday night, I can't get to sleep because I'm so used to that couple of extra hours staying awake. So yeah. And look, sleeping tablets don't do anything for me.
No.
Crazy exercise doesn't do anything for me.
I've found that
I can have a coffee just before I go to bed, and it won't keep me up sometimes. But I don't know.
I definitely have the sometimes it won't, sometimes it will issue. For instance, tonight I've had, just before we started at 6, it's now almost 8, I had 2 coffees.
Yep.
We'll see how I go.
Yeah, so there we go.
Dale repping Anti-Flag Awesome Pittsburgh Band. As I've said, you and Brian are quite on the same wavelength with the music.
Yep.
Brian's also saying that his go-to film, Quiet from the Peanut Gallery Please, is Eyes Wide Shut. That's another one that I need to watch again and focus on. Like all Kubrick, it is very slow in parts.
Yeah.
You really need to be focused and ready to go for that one. But again, a little bit of in that film, as far as I'm aware from memory, a reference to submissive and dominant, being that
I haven't seen it for so long.
Masks and you don't know my identity, but I know yours, and do what and a little bit of the secret club and stuff like that. Before the technical issues, Brian asked the question of who is your all-time or what is your all-time favorite comic, being anime, comic, cartoon, or comic comedian. Do we want to push through for 15 more minutes and answer that question?
Yeah, let's still go to 8. So comic as in
reading comic, or comic as in person who makes you laugh. Either one you can go with if you want. Do you have one off the top of your head?
I'd probably have to say Umbrella Academy is my favourite comic
of all time.
Yeah, I don't know why, I just friggin' love it.
It is good. There's no question.
Yeah,
It's not,
Look,
not surprising.
I don't know. Look, I'm loving Saga. I'm loving Sex Criminals.
Yep.
Can't wait for the next one of that. I love Fables. Like, I can't pick a favourite. I'll be honest, I can't.
Oh, I can't. I'm annoyed. I've probably read maybe 6 or 7 Fables. I'm really annoyed. I've completely forgotten that I've got that one to work my way through as well.
For me, and I know we've touched on it in previous podcasts, but I have a real thing for fairy tale characters.
Yep.
Verging on kind of creepy. And the fact that the Snow White and the Cinderellas and that sort of stuff, and anything we've seen from Disney movies, that's an interpretation of those characters.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a completely different, more adult interpretation of these fairy tale characters. Much in the same way why I really like the TV show Once Upon a Time, which is basically a rip-off of Fables. But
so much
apparently they never saw a single issue of Fables, which is crap.
I remember watching it at one point because Jamie's quite into it, and I've watched a few episodes per season just by osmosis. I remember watching it going, this is Fables. What the hell? This is so influenced by Fables.
And Jamie's looking at us like she's never heard of Fables and she's going to start reading it.
I don't think she...
Okay. No,
I was going to say, I don't think she's heard it, and I don't think she's going to read it.
Okay.
She's... I've suggested a few comics for her to read, and she's not... It's not going to happen. Dare I say it, I'm going to go somewhat boring and say that possibly one of my favourite comic of all time is, unfortunately, Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, I was going to say Batman or something.
It's something mainly because that was... I got back in... I was into comics when I was really little, and when...
I need to pee really bad.
Okay, you go. I can talk.
You continue talking.
I've got plenty to talk about. I'm very good at talking by myself. Let's just get the camera facing the right direction. Oh, no, I shouldn't have done that. I'm wrecking the mic. I was into comics when I was younger, and I could never find an actual comic book store, so it was all about the comics at the newsagents. And then I sort of lost interest because you can barely find them at the you can't find them at the newsagents. So it took me until a couple of years ago, when working near a comic book store, to go in and start rereading comics. I had reread a few via the different apps on my iPad, predominantly the Kevin Smith Batmans, that had gotten me very much into wanting to reread or read comics. And I'd heard about Dark Knight Returns a fair bit, and I thought to myself, well, I'll get that one and give it a shot, because apparently it's very good. I was addicted. I was hooked on it because the story is so good. And I had to keep reading. I had to read another bit and a little bit more. And this feels really awkward, and these guys are making it worse by...
Bread.
Sharing bread on the thing.
Yeah, breaking bread.
I just found Dark Knight Returns to be so compelling and so well written that it made me want to continue reading Batman, and then in turn read more comics that weren't the quote-unquote cliches. Because even though it is the legendary comic, it's not a cliche in my book. It's not just the standard, oh, well, is he going to win? I don't know. Yep, he won. That kind of stuff. So yeah, Dark Knight Returns is probably my all-time favourite. For some reason, it has sentimental value. I don't know why, though. But yeah, Dark Knight Strikes Back has sentimental value because Jamie bought it for me early on in our relationship for a birthday present. But of course, I've goddamn gone and lost the issue. I don't know where it is, and that shits me. Because again, sentimental values, because Jamie bought it for my birthday.
Well, knowing Jamie, I think she probably thought it was something different, because it said Strikes Back.
She probably thought it was a Star Wars crossover with Batman. But yeah.
I can hear you laughing in there. Favourite comic?
Yeah, comedian.
Oh, I get to go first.
Well, you went first with the last one. Do you want me to go first with this one? I've probably got one.
Yeah, look, I probably have many, but let's go with yours first.
I could probably narrow it down not only to actual comic, but actual album.
Yep.
And when with Brian's thing of actual comic, I'm thinking not group and then in turn movie, because obviously Python would be up there as favourite group. So mine would probably be Bill Cosby.
Oh, okay.
Mostly because...
I thought you were going to say some stupid, ridiculous British comedian that is not funny at all, like...
Emo Phillips.
Is he British?
He's not British, but that would be a ridiculous,
I
strange...
thought you were going to say someone like, I don't know. I don't know any of their names, but Smeghead or something like that.
Oh, Red Dwarf.
Yeah, someone off Red Dwarf.
No, because Red Dwarf's not... The actual guys in Red Dwarf on their own aren't funny as comedians. They're funny as actors.
Well, not having watched any Red Dwarf ever, I would just having to agree with the first part of your statement that the actors off Red Dwarf are not funny. That's where I stopped listening.
Let's disagree to
agree
to
look,
disagree.
I've just never watched it. It's probably hilarious.
But the reason why I absolutely love Bill Cosby, and I can narrow it down to an album, which would have to be to Russell, My Brother, with whom I slept with.
What?
Yeah, it's clean. The entire thing is clean. There's not only is there no swearing, but there's not even any dirty premise or anything. And it is possibly one of the funniest pieces of audio you could ever listen to. The main reason I remember it, it's again got sentimental value, was that my stepfather had a double cassette album of it. My stepsister one night listened to it on the home stereo with her then boyfriend whilst they were babysitting me. I don't know where the folks had gone, but because they were probably teenagers at the time, or maybe early 20s, and they were more interested in each other than me, I was able to sit up in my mum's bed and watch Missing in Action Part 3 with Chuck Norris, which I definitely would not have been allowed to watch if my mum had been home. And then afterwards, I don't know whether I couldn't sleep or I was scared or what, I went in and sat with them listening to this tape. I then started listening to it repetitively, introduced it to my friend. We thought it was hilarious. And it was one of those, I could listen to it forever and find it funny. I could still listen to it
and
find it funny and enjoy listening to it again and again and again. And I highly recommend that anyone who wants to listen to something funny, listen to it, because it is pure comic genius, that one.
A little side note to that, and you made me think of it. I went out for dinner last night to a burger joint that I'd been to before, but I'd been to the one in Fitzroy. Huckster Burger. Have you ever been there?
No, but I think I went past it and saw it.
I didn't realise, I mean I should have, but every single thing on their menu is a reference to the Cosby Show.
I was going to say, is it a Huxtable?
There's the Theo, there's the Rudy, there's the... that's the extent of Cosby characters I remember.
I don't know the Cosby Show at all.
I guess in terms of my favourite comedian, I love comedy. I love very different types of comedy. I think, clean comedians like Bill Cosby and stuff have a place. Not really that much into Bill Cosby because the only thing I can remember of is the qubits, 30 qubits, whatever.
Yeah, Noah.
Noah, yeah.
That's on that album. It was on that tape anyway, and that is, again, the Noah sketch is just brilliant as well. I could recite it for you if you wanted.
No, please don't, because I was talking about my comedians. Jim Gaffigan is a clean comedian. I reckon he's really funny. But in terms of favourite for me, I like comedians that kind of push the boundaries with the material they're bringing up, whether it's offensive, sexually based humour or it's political stuff. Love Bill Hicks.
How can you not?
How can you not? Because of what he did and what he said. Even all the stuff was about the Bush and the Gulf War and that sort of stuff. And if you just pretend they're talking about George W. and the war in Iraq, it all makes complete sense. Love Doug Stanhope. Love Joe Rogan.
Was Hicks the one that said, what if whenever they get a new president, they say, okay, you're president now, come into this room, and then they show you a piece of footage of the Kennedy assassination from an angle that you've never seen before. They stop it, they turn the lights on and say, any questions? That is... hearing Rogan talk about Hicks and stuff, you further understand the brilliance of the way he made something to say and something to benefit humanity, and then he made it into a comedy routine.
Oh, look, but there's some of his comedy, like, I don't want to say towards the end, but there was one of his albums is, it's not that it's not funny, but it's just it's different. Yeah, look, I don't know who else. I was listening to a guy called Jim Norton the other day, he's on Opie and Anthony. I don't know if you. Yep.
Well, isn't it just Opie?
Well, it is now. Yeah. Bloody censorship, stupidity. I was watching him the other day. He's hilarious, but he is when they say dirty comedians, like he's a dirty comedian in the stuff that he talks about is rather vulgar, but he is genuinely a dirty guy. Like
I would
has
describe
sex with prostitutes, both male and female.
I would describe him as a twisted individual.
He is a twisted individual,
and but what I like about him, from the small amount that I've heard of him, is that he's so open and honest with it.
Yep.
And he doesn't shame himself or anything that he does. He doesn't try to say that, oh, this is dirty and this is naughty and that's what I'm doing. He just says, this is my life. This is what I do. Yep. And he's like, I know that I've got a problem.
Why should he hide it?
And he doesn't hide it, and he's just so wonderfully honest. Which is great. Brian has pointed out George Carlin. We haven't even mentioned him.
Yeah, George Carlin.
He's another
very
one.
Influential. He's another one that he. There was a period where he was just shit. Like one of his albums is horrible.
Well, he started off as so clean. He was a button-down collar and tie, short back and sides guy in the 50s or something, doing like the Smothers Brothers hour and stuff like that. He then changed with the counterculture to be absolutely brilliant. Yeah. I mean, the seven words that you can't say on TV will go down as a classic bit of just genius.
Like you were saying with your Bill Cosby, listening to the tape, I think the stand-up that got me into stand-up was Eddie Murphy's Raw.
Yes.
I had that on video, watched it a million times like you. I could still quote that.
I
went back and watched it and it's still freaking hilarious.
I could happily watch that a number of times, absolutely. I've watched it a bunch of times and thought, it's one of those ones, it's like Back to the Future. You can put it on and enjoy it even if you've seen it 100 times. It's one of those ones that you never scroll through what you've got as your possible watching opportunities or viewing options, and you never say no. Yeah. You always go, yes, I could watch that, but what else do I want to watch? And then you come back to it when you're not sure what you're in the mood for. Raw is one of those. Yeah.
We should probably wrap it up.
I reckon we're definitely good. We've done 2 hours.
This is great.
Thank you, as always, Brian. You are... Carlin's 10 Commandments is brilliant, absolutely. All of Carlin's brilliant in varying degrees. Thank you very much, Brian. You've been our only viewer today. Yep. And thank you very much for that. D&G11, what was almost D&G 10 Part 2, is successfully D&G11. It is the absolute start of a new beginning with our camera. Yep. The visual is going to be great. Marathon, longest episode ever, 2 hours. Yep. Everything went well. I enjoyed myself. Jamie took a much bigger part in the show.
Yep, she even got on camera.
Actually got on camera and talked. I'm going to have to go back to watch that because I didn't get to see any of it.
It was truly fascinating.
It was truly amazing.
Yep. It was like a pivotal moment in podcasting history.
It was.
When people look back and wonder why the show changed its name to D&J.
Well, no. Well, no, there was a coup and we got rid of Gavin.
That'll be the coup. It'll be D&J and Gavin the Tech. Yep. Where I'm sitting behind going, throwing in little snippets.
Cool.
That is the end of the show. Thank you very much.
Yep. What do we say?
I don't know. What should my little bit be before your little bit?
I don't know.
Well, that's good.
That's what you're going to come up with.
That's what I've got to come up with.
Yep.
Okay. Why isn't that moving?
Oh.
Damn it.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
So, thank you very much for viewing. I hope you see us next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Yep. Goodbye from me.
Stay safe.